Okay, hello. Today we are going to present the material in chapter 2. In chapter 2, basically, we are going to focus in the structure of our application. And to improve the structure of our application, we are going to use templates because this will help to increase the efficiency and the organization or in our code. And then let's move on. Basically, what we are going to do, basically here you have kind of all the material that we prepared the last chapter, in chapter 1. The first thing that we are going to do is that in this folder we are going to create a new folder that I'm going to call templates. In that folder we are going to place all the HTML code, and basically we are going to have one for home, one for methodology, and another for the app calculator. And therefore, within templates, what we do is to create a new file, and this file is going to, the name is going to be home HTML, and we are going to create another that is called is going to call methodology, new file that is methodology HTML. Okay, these are going to be the two templates that we are going to create. In the lectures we are going to do more, but now we are going to do only this. Then the next step that we are going to do is basically here we are going to create the HTML code, and basically if you type the exclamation mark and you click enter, Visual Studio will create the boilerplate with the HTML code that you need. I'm going to explain this later in another chapter, but now we don't need this, and we don't need this. This is basically the basic information that we need to create our HTML files. And here basically what we are going to have is the title that we are going to pass to the home page, and basically here what we are going to use is Jinja 2, and basically because we are going to pass information from our roots to the HTML file, and we are going to render that information in the web page. And the way in which Jinja do this is basically you type double brackets and write here title. Later on I will explain you how we communicate basically the roots file and the HTML files. But by now just you have to type this. The next thing that we are going to do is basically we have to go to the application folder, to the application file, and what we are going to do is to cut this from the home, because now what we are going to do is to introduce this in the home page. And basically now we type this information here, and we are going to add some more information. It's just basically here is basically the methodology that we are using. The methodology that we will use can be found in this link. We are going to introduce later on a link here to move to the methodology HTML file. The other thing that we are going to introduce is basically we are going to introduce some section for the developers, and here basically what we are going to do is to introduce an enumerated list. This is useful because we are going to use this information in the weekly challenge, and here basically you will provide some information about yourselves. Developer 1, short bio, link to the CV, for example. You can introduce whatever you want here, but this is a kind of example. Okay, now we save this information. We are going to do exactly the same with the methodology. We are going to cut. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is to cut this. Control X. We go to the methodology and we do exactly the same. Exclamation mark, enter. We erase this information. we erase this information, and here basically we also going like to place some title here that we are going to write in the root file. Okay, and we save it again, and here basically now we paste all the things that we have cut in the previous from the root file. Basically you have this information. Okay, and then Control S. Basically what we are doing is moving everything that we have here in one file, in the application.py file. We are moving this to the HTML files, home and methodology. And now what we have to do basically is to connect these root files with the HTML files. And to do that, we are going to use a Flask function that is called render template. And basically what we have to write here is render template, and then we have to write the name of the HTML file, home HTML, and here we are going to pass the title. This is what I told you before, that we are going to pass an information, and in this case the title that we want to appear in the home page is home. And we are going to do exactly the same thing in methodology. Here is render template, and here we are going to render the template that is called methodology, HTML, and we are going to pass the title methodology. Okay, that's all what we need. Okay, now we save this information, and now if we go to the terminal, we go to a new terminal. Basically we have to activate the virtual environment. The virtual environment is already activated, as you can see here in green. And then basically, if you remember from chapter 1, we have to type Python, and then the name of our file is application.py. We run it, and now we click in the server. If we click in the server, we go here, and basically we have the welcome home. If we type methodology, we have the methodology file. Okay, this is not the best way to move from one root to another, because we have to type basically in the browser all this information. And by the way, here as you can see is appearing the title, that is methodology. If we type here home, this is also the title. It's appearing in the top part of the web page. Okay, this is something very useful because Google used this title also to find information. Okay, and as I told you, this is not the best way to move from one web page to another, because we have to change basically the root in the browser, and this is not a good idea. The thing that we are going to do to avoid doing that is basically from the home page, I have created here a link, and basically what we are going to do is to create a link directly. When we click here, we are going to move to the methodology web page, and to do that is very easy. And we have to type A, and here basically we have to move the link, cut this, paste it here. This is the first thing that we have to do. And now basically what we have to do is to create to call a function. And basically what we have to do is when we click in this button, we are going to call this function that is called methodology. And then basically when we click in that button, what we are going to do is to call this function, and it's going to render the template methodology that we have already created. And to do that in Flask is very simple. It's basically you have to use the next command line is href, and then basically here we are going to use a function that is url_for. We have to put this between brackets, two brackets, and here inside the bracket is url_for, and basically here we type methodology. This is the name of the function that we have created in the previous in the root files. This is this function here, methodology. Okay, then we save this, and basically if we go and refresh our browser, we will have here, I'm going to maximize this. If you go here to the browser, basically what you have here is the link. If we click in this link here, what we are doing is moving to this methodology. And this makes very, very efficient the way in which we are moving from one file to another. Okay, basically in this video what we have shown is basically we have started to organize the structure of our application, and to do that we have introduced different HTML files, and that is very useful because it's helping us to don't have only one file, but we start to organize the structure of our app in different files and in different folders. What we are going to do in the next section, in chapter 2, is to use templates, and templates is also very useful because it will help us to make the code much more efficient. Okay, see you in the next chapter, in the next lecture.